Morning guys, Mark Ferrasci, Protect Dog Training. We're heading to Happy Father's Day, by the way. It is Sunday morning as I film this on 9:30, heading to Tractor Supply with Eros, the puppy that I just got in, that 14-week-old puppy. And hot is the watchword of the day, and in general up here it's been about 105, 110, even upwards of 115 in the last week or so. It's supposed to break. The temperature's supposed to go a little bit less, which means it's usually caused by something. Wind. So now we've got more wind gusts coming at us, those old desert windstorms, you know. The heat's still there, it drops a little bit because you got some wind that's moving it, but other than that, so it is what it is. So yesterday I took off and I came to Tractor Supply, and I loaded Joker up in the back and loaded Eros, and we took off. And I got down there, it was so dang hot, I was real worried about leaving. I can't leave the puppy outside in the crate like I was doing with Joker. I can put him in a shade spot and put him in the crate outside, and he's fine. Nobody's going to mess with him. He'll tear their face off, you know. But the puppy, another issue. They see me working the puppy, I put him in a crate and try to go work another dog, and they're going to steal the puppy. So today I'm limited. I've only got Eros with me. He's in the front of the cab with me in the crate, so he gets some air conditioner. All right. Speaking of which, let me open this other vent. All right. So in a nutshell, it's just part of dealing with training. When you're living in certain environments, you're dictated by the heat. You'll notice a lot of trainers will end up getting those nice huge sheds and with some air conditioning inside, like I think Ivan's got one back where he's at. So he's got a training area and get out of the weather, right? Florida would be different, obviously. They'd have rain, squalls, and other weather. They also would get some heat and humidity. It would be real hot. So you get something like that, but there's a lot of cost involved with that. So we never have done that, but it's coming. So you just got to work early in the morning or late at night, you know, 9 o'clock. Get out when the weather starts to get a little cooler outside. That's why we put lights on that field, right? So you get outside and work at night. So that's where we're at. We're limited to that. And I've got him in the front now with the air conditioner so that we can get him staying cool instead of being fatigued by the heat, right? So in regards to this, it's kind of a neat little series I'm doing with Eros to kind of show you the development of a puppy. I'll have him for a month. And everybody's always wanting to know, you know, the big question is always, you know, what am I going to get for my money? In other words, what's my dog going to know when I get him back? That's behaviors, guys. That's heel, sit down, stay, a come, and a finish. It's pretty much standard. On-leash obedience, off-leash obedience, how proficient is he at it, that kind of thing. But over the years, I've learned that I don't sell it like that anymore. I try to make people understand that what I do is specialized in regards to building that house, right? I take my time, always too fast, never too slow. I try to tell people this, and they usually the beginners will always be too fast. They'll be trying to push things, and they want to see the dog do the behaviors, because in their mind, that's what they think is a good dog. No, it's where's the dog's head at in the work. That's what really matters. Your end result is going to come. You're going to get the behaviors if you work long enough. There's a guy that came up, I think it was Logan House, that came over with his seminar, and he was talking about another really well-known animal guy over the years that had coined a phrase: it doesn't matter how good a trainer is, as long as he's got the time to be able to do the work, puts the work in, he's going to be able to produce a product. So it doesn't matter how good you are. And I really don't judge a trainer by how fast he goes. You know, you see some of these girls over in Europe and stuff come up with some of these vids, and the dog's just doing all kinds of things as a baby. And you're going, my gosh, you know, your jaw drops out. And that's behavior. And that's a neat thing. There's nothing wrong with it. It's kind of cool. But I don't go towards that. I really do a lot of environmental, like I'm doing right now to Tractor Supply. I look at the dog, I want to build strength. I want the dog to be a strong dog and have a good communication baseboard, so that as I go along, I can train him to do anything and accept anything, right? So that's why it's pretty cool that you can get into some of the stuff that we get into nowadays. There's another guy that was well-known trainer that I respect a lot. He's really heavy into Schutzen. He does ring sport. He's pretty much a world-renowned trainer. and he had a little video on his training site, and it was it was a podcast that he did that I was listening to, and it was a great question. What's the best protection dog sport? And I kind of had to laugh, because I don't look at a sport as being the best. I look at the sport, no matter which one it is, seeing what the positives are, diamonds in the rough, right? What can I grab out of this sport that's applicable to me in the real world? And every sport has something, right? With Schutzhund, I right away go to the grip development and biting in a nice way, strikes, grips, all that good stuff, and how they build their dogs is excellent for me to work with my puppies. I always go to Schutzhund decoys when I'm first starting my puppies, and I establish my bite work with that grip development, right? Because it's very advantageous to the end product that I'm trying to produce in my dogs, right? Now the other one that I like is PSA. Every sport has things I can grab out of it. What does PSA have out of it? Well, PSA does a lot of things that are stressors, environmental stressors that the dog has to work his way through within the sport of PSA. You see those can screens that they do, right? A lot of noise, a lot of can screens. You'll see a lot of the PSA trainers are doing the little wading pools for the kids, and they put a bunch of bottles in it, and they get the dog acclimated to that, and that really builds a lot of confidence. There's all kinds of little tricks and little diamonds in the rough that each sport will give you, okay? Now, I don't get into just one sport. To me, that bugs me, because I want a dog that's a lot more rounder than that, right? That's got a lot more development towards his overall finished product, like with Joker is a good example of that. Joker's a very stable dog. I can take him any place I go. He's very friendly because of all the work that I'm doing in making sure my dogs are stable. That's a very important aspect to me. The dog has to be stable and be able to go places, or he doesn't fulfill a function, right? If I can't take my dog out without worrying about him biting somebody and he's got too much of an edge on him, then he's a liability to me, right? And this is talking because I'm a civilian trainer, right? Law enforcement, they have a tendency to want to have their dogs be a little bit more aloof. They don't get into all the greeting that I will get into, right? Because they don't think they think that's going to take away from the dog being aggressive on the street. I disagree with them, but hey, everybody's got their own opinions, right? So what is another sport? Ring sport. Ring sport's about speed, about getting it fast. In other words, they got to get to their bite. A lot of the different scenarios in ring sport are all about how fast the dog and the decoy can escape away from them. And there's all kinds of good things in regards to the bottom half of the body. Instead of being up high and going after the middle of the chest, you're teaching a dog to go to the legs, right? And then you get into Mondio ring, and you get back into that environmental stressors that they do in Mondio ring, and then it's a lot of fun in Mondio ring. They have a lot of fun putting in their seminars and getting a theme behind it and all that. That makes that a fun sport, Mondio ring, you know. And that's why I would want to hang around that, because it'd be a lot of fun getting your dog ready to be able to accept any challenge. You don't know what they're going to throw at you on trial day, because in Mondio ring, that's one of the big things, that each club within the rules of the sport get to put on their own little theme and their own little environmental stressors that they may make the dog go through, okay? So each sport has diamonds in the rough, things you can pull out of it that are going to be applicable to what you need in the real world. And that's kind of what I look at. So which one's better than the other one? There is no better. Each one has positives and negatives, okay? So I won't go into the negatives of the sports, but there's things that bug me that these sports create. One of the things, equipment orientation, that Schutzhund has a tendency to create. Too much of an equipment-oriented animal with Schutzhund. But that's the sport, right? You are going to get what you're going after if you're going to go after sport. PSA. I don't like the fact they always do their bites on the left side. They only give the dog one presentation. The dog sees that and knows that that's what he's supposed to strike. In a real-world situation, which bad guy is going to sit there and go, yeah, oh, here's my arm, and then where is he going to bite? Because you haven't balanced the dog out to biting other places on the body, right? So I want to balance my dog to make sure he hits you anywhere, you know? He knows how to do legs. He's got a good affinity for that. He knows how to go to the center of the chest and go and drive in there, and then get into KNVP, okay? Over in Netherlands and Holland. They've got a bunch of scenarios. What I look at for those, for the positive aspects of things, more than anything else that I like about KNVP, targeting, because they have a bunch of scenarios, and each one will have a different target area. right? Which means the dog's going to get used to having a picture in his mind of where to strike when he sees that guy in that position. Meaning, if I'm running away, they have that bike routine. The dog bites to the back of that knee, right behind the leg. That's a heck of a pain place. They've got the shoulder that they do a lot of the work in. And then they have a harder bite surface because their suits are different, and that teaches the dog to have a harder bite. And then their strikes are very intense because they do that courage test where the decoy does not give to the dog. It's like two trains. And you'll hear a lot of complaints with other people in Schutzen and other sports that don't like that because of the stress it puts on the dog's body, right? You're going to end up having a lot more back injuries, a lot more neck compression, you know, that could end up being a physical problem that you've got to rehab your dog out of because you've been doing so much of that type of development within the sport of KNPP. So each sport has its pros and cons, right? I agree with them in that regards. I'd like to see them maybe come up with something that's a little bit more halfway. Let's keep the two trains hitting in the night, but try to figure out something that we can do it in training, but we back off them a little bit in the trial, and we don't want to denote that so much because of the injuries involved. And they haven't been affected by that because most of their sales and everything they're after is law enforcement, and that's just part and parcel of law enforcement. They want a tougher dog. The dog's got to be more tenacious and follow through with that, taking the man down. And that's what the sport is all about because it's actually a certification for law enforcement, right? So there's a method behind the madness. There's some good things in that sport. So every sport has pros and cons, right? And then you just got to find them and understand that a sport, you have criteria. This is this scenario, then we do this one, then we do this one. And when you learn all that in a pattern type way or however you're building the dog, you end up getting the points that you need on the field, right? And that's really what it's all about. So I'm going to let you guys go. I got Animal Regs up in front of me, so I'm going to let him go in front of me, even though I'm not. Have a good day, guys. Mark Ferrasci, Protect Dog Training, and dealing with the world of dogs. They got a lot of work to cover all this area out here in the high desert. Talk to you later. Have a good day, guys.